ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, welcome back to Drianas and this is Grace.
And of course, you are with us on our very beautiful Wednesday morning. And today we are going to, as usual, report about what's happening around the world as well as in Southeast Asia. Let's start off with breaking news from Malaysia. So, remember the chief editor of Sarawak Report, Clare Brown, and also she's also the founder of Sarawak Report. Apparently, Malaysian police has obtained an arrest warrant for her.
And as well as they said, they want to put Clare Brown on the ASEAN Poll wanted list and also Interpol red notice. So that means, according to Section 124B, that anyone who is involved in an activity that is detrimental to the parliamentary democracy can be imprisoned for up to 20 years. And then, of course, those who attempt to do so could be jailed for up to 15 years. And that's according to Attorney General's chambers. And with all this, we call it a sort of consequences or punishment after what they've done. They have to just be in jail without any access to internet and anything. That means all this freedom of expression will be again blocked from all those resources that are supposed to be out to public.
Definitely will hamper freedom of expression. Another further explanation about the Section 124 is the dissemination of false reports. So those that found guilty can be jailed for up to 5 years. This is according to the Attorney General's chambers as well. And it seems like Malaysian government is serious about getting Clare Brown not just in the list, but definitely put her behind bars. We are not sure how they are going to do so because she's now based in London, and she is handling the Sarawak Report online, so she can do it as much as you want to, and I don't think Malaysian government can do much to catch her.
Exactly. But then hopefully, Sarawak Report was one of the incidents when it comes to MDB. And we also have the Edge also. But then more updates will be coming regarding this news in Malaysia.
So what is she being found guilty of? So based on the investigation journalism portal Sarawak Report, it has been accused of a plot to discredit the Malaysian government after publishing, like you mentioned, the One Malaysia Development Berhad, which it claimed that Malaysian government has transferred billions of ringgit into the Prime Minister's Najib Razak's personal account. So there you go. On another alternative news, which was blocked by the Malaysian government from July 20 for publishing unverified information and posting a threat to national stability. This is according to the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Communication. So another bad news that also is happening besides in Malaysia is Pakistan. So apparently Pakistan has executed Shafqat Hussain despite appeals.
And then he was convicted of killing a child in 2004, and he did try his best to appeal to the court. And then despite appeals from the international human rights groups, he was executed. And then his lawyer said he was 14 when he found guilty, and also his confession was extracted by torture. But according to officials, they said there's no proof that he was a minor when he was convicted. And of course, he met his family one last time before midnight. Then it was hanged shortly before the dawn in jail in the Karash.
I definitely agree with the international human rights groups. When you are a minor convicted of juvenile crimes, I don't think you should be tried the same as adults. Minors have a different I would say standard. I mean, you should give the doubt that they might not know what they are doing at that time, and they need more guidance and counsel. I think rehab will be the best for any child convict. Anyway, on another Malaysian news, Malaysia's new VEP fee discriminates against Singapore vehicles. This is according to Ministry of Transport in Singapore.
And then this cost and inconveniences can cause, and also this encourages Singaporeans from going to Malaysia. And in fact, because of the ringgit drop in the ringgit value, a lot of Singaporeans and also other country foreigners are coming to Malaysia for shopping and the various reasons. However, this will definitely sort of stop and also block them, and especially in Johor, or I'm talking about the Singaporean here, and also for leisure purposes such as shopping I mentioned, and also as well as sightseeing, and then also having their holiday.
And of course, it would definitely affect the tourism and shopping habits by the Singaporeans to Johor. I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, I think we also have to look at different areas of why we need to have this VEP fee. I think one of it is to control the inflow of vehicle to Malaysia, especially Singapore vehicle. And also at the same time, I think a lot more Singaporeans would probably can take another option of traveling to Malaysia either via train or via buses, so they can avoid the fees.
And the interesting part is, as much as they are charged for coming to Malaysia, but it also happened vice versa. For example, all Malaysians, just to avoid all those the aviation fees, some Malaysians do travel to Singapore as well with the Malaysian cars. But then regarding this news, over the weekend, the Malaysian Deputy Transport Minister Abdul Aziz Kaprawi was quoted by the Star, the newspaper, was saying that from September 1st, Singapore vehicles which are not registered with the Road Transport Department or JPJ will be refused entry into Malaysia.
So there you go. And online registration kickstart on August 15, which is another 10 days from now, and will cost vehicle owners 10 ringgit or 3.6 Sing dollar for 5 years. That's not that expensive.
For sure. So go and register your car before you're coming to Malaysia.
Another update I would like to give is in Myanmar. As we all know, Myanmar is having one of the worst floods in Southeast Asia right now. And Myanmar is appealing for international assistance for flood relief.
And this is something that Myanmar is looking for, the helping hands, of course. And more than 210,000 people, they were affected by this flood and due to heavy monsoon rains. And that shows that Myanmar is lacking of infrastructure, and as well as the systems there, how to prevent from all this natural disaster. And many areas are still completely cut off by these whole high water levels and also damaged roads as well. And of course, because of all these damages, most of the public in the certain regions which are affected are in the sort of on hold. Okay, they can't function properly.
And what is even much more worse than what have happened in Kelantan, Malaysia, the flood early this year was, according to the Global New Light of Myanmar newspaper, quoted by Minister Yi saying that the flood warning has not reached to everyone and there had been confusion over the evacuation. So a lot of people are affected by it, but they don't know how to get how to get out from the flood itself. So a lot of people are trapped. And according to the World Food Programme, it has started providing food rations to 47,800 people with the aim of reaching 150,000 people eventually.
And also, in addition to that, the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, has contributed to water purification and hygiene kits, and also agency are preparing to request for UN funds for financial support. Those are the necessities when it comes to natural disaster, and especially when one nation is looking for helping hands.
And we will take one short break. When we return, we'll discuss more on the politics side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, good morning. This is Arlene.
Hi, welcome back. This is Grace.
And of course, you're still with us on the politics side of Southeast Asia. First off is Thailand. So Thailand trafficking report, as we all know, they really haven't moved up to tier 2, unlike Malaysia. And the facts versus the fury, this is what Thailand Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, and he was dignified in his response to the annual U.S. trafficking in persons report last week when he said Thailand needed to solve its own problems rather than blaming the U.S. for keeping the country relegated to tier 3. And I totally agree with the Prime Minister. I think, especially with discussion with the Human Rights Watch deputy the deputy head, Phil Robertson, I mean, we realize that Malaysia has moved up to tier 2, but a lot of people are questioning maybe it should remain in tier 3. While Thailand, I think they are good enough to be in tier 3 and they have to work towards becoming in tier 2.
And of course, even this, when Thailand is still at the tier 3, a lot of questions are raised in terms of what has the nation done to be able to sort of solve these human trafficking issues. And in fact, all these cheerleaders for the government, they are very disappointed with the report for its apparent failure to reflect the Thai authorities' crackdown on the trade. And so this has led to the discovery of mass grave that we also have been reporting about quite some time, and an abandoned camp in the Songkhla province, and also arrest of high-ranking military officers on charges of aiding these traffickers. But when it comes to Thailand, it is very necessary now that the nation has to step up to come up with the policies or even the mechanism to solve these problems, because this is one of the biggest problems in Southeast Asia.
Another thing that Thailand is probably much more worse than Malaysia. It's not just when it comes to refugees, it's also when it comes to some of its industry. For example, the fishing industry. A lot of the people employed to work in the fishing industry are actually trafficked persons, and this has somehow jeopardized the integrity of the industry itself. They were virtually modern slavery.
Right. And this is something that, of course, even if the solution comes right now, it wouldn't solve overnight. It will take time and to be able to come up with the right solution for this human trafficking. And the Thai authorities should have no excuse for lowering their guards. And even with or without this report, the trafficking in persons report, the nation needs to work hard to curb this crime against humanity.
Yes, and another area of trafficking that is definitely rampant in Thailand, but they are also working towards it, is sex slavery. So Thailand recently arrested 5 for trafficking women into sex slavery in China.
And then, this arrest come a week after the U.S. kept Thailand on its list of worst human trafficking centers. And the Thai government, of course, said that it hopes the U.S. will remove it from the blacklist following the crackdown. Perhaps this is a warning sign to Thailand at this moment that even though they don't want to listen to what U.S. has reported, but perhaps it is true and is a wake-up call for Thailand to really come up with something for human trafficking, as well as perhaps we talk about the sex slavery they have sent to China.
Thailand definitely have done a lot. For example, in July, which was last month, 72 people, including 15 state officials, has been nabbed over suspected link to human trafficking after what Thailand described as their biggest ever investigation into the crime. While Chinese and Thai authorities are definitely working together on the latest case after a Thai woman escaped her captors in Chongqing, China. It seems like Thailand is definitely moving forward, but is it enough? Because the problem with Thailand is proximity with Vietnam, not with Vietnam, with Myanmar and China and all other countries where human trafficking is quite common, I think they have much larger responsibility than Malaysia in terms of curbing human trafficking. So on the other hand, in the Philippines, they have another problem, which is kind of similar like our problem in Malaysia.
Right.
So Aquino government is being accused of billion-dollar election ploy. Their own version of 1MDB now being alleged.
I hope this is not a culture when it comes to Southeast Asia. And well, the billions, Philippine President Aquino's government has been accused of what you said, of billions in typhoon relief funds, and also with the aim of releasing them just before elections. And this billions was approved for the rehabilitations of 14 provinces that were devastated by Typhoon Haiyan in the late 2013, and including millions of aid from these foreign agencies and the Filipino worldwide will be released and spent fast to get votes in the 2016 elections. So when it comes to money issue, of course, this is very sensitive, and then people do question where all those money are spent for public, or which resources they even got all those money from.
So according to former Senator Panfilo Lacson, there was a shortfall in the scheduled release of a total $3.2 billion US dollar rehabilitation budget that he proposed and was approved by the President Aquino in the late 2013. And Aquino's approval for the budget envisioned 3 tranches, 1.11 billion to be released in 2014, 1.77 billion US dollar in 2015, and the subsequent 777 million in 2016. So the statement by Chaloka Bayani, United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights of Internally Displaced Person in the late July, that the Philippine government rehabilitation projects for typhoon-washed people remain unfortunately inadequate and was an understatement. It shows that, you pump so much money towards a program that's supposed to be benefiting the people who are in need, but instead it doesn't really have that much of a difference.
That's correct. And at the same time, the opposition politician, they mentioned that if the money was released on time, since there were reported savings from the line agencies, the rehabilitation work in central Philippines should have been 70% completed in 2015. So again, another question is raised, perhaps the assumption are raising regarding these issues.
So on a lighter note, moving from the Philippines back to Malaysia, do you know that yesterday was the opening of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, and during that time, Prime Minister Najib talked a lot about having a ASEAN community and how it will benefit the future of this region. And one of the key focus was future ASEAN policy must be based on inclusiveness and sustainability.
Well, those two words are very important, of course, because ASEAN, after all, it's a whole community, and then having a sense of belonging to ASEAN is very, very significant. And in fact, these all policies for the future must be based on, like you mentioned, the two terms, inclusiveness and sustainability. And if the regional body is to narrow the development gap between the member nations, well, having this narrowing down when it comes to development gap in Southeast Asia, it could be very tricky. But then again, a few countries from ASEAN is trying hard to make sure that we can reach the single market after all. And then in addition to that, we have the AEC coming along to conclude by the end of this year. So this year will a pretty significant mark for all ASEAN.
Pretty significant to the extent that he actually promised, Prime Minister Najib, that we already have the third biggest workforce after India and China, with 600 million population. And definitely ASEAN is seeing ourselves as a third force in Asia. So there you go, our political news. We will take one short break. When we return, we will talk about the economic side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, welcome back. This is Grace.
So, on our economic news, Singapore's workforce must prepare for growing uncertainty in global economy. I think the whole world is uncertain right now, especially globalization has created that kind of environment.
And then we're talking about Singapore here, that we believe that Singapore is still the one of the strongest country when it comes to economic growth and then the economic part itself. But then Singapore has been showing its uncertainty and also perhaps the slowing down when it comes to economy part. And then that raised another sort of the worrisome among the public as well. And the manpower minister has also urged all the Singaporeans to emulate the spirit of the pioneer generation and also call the tripartite partners at the national and then sectorial levels to work together, which is quite necessary because Singaporeans need to prepare for this uncertainty in the global economy, as well as how they can face this situation at the moment.
This was expressed by Manpower Minister Lim Swee Say at the Ministry's National Day observance ceremony. As we all know, this week will be the day where Singapore will celebrate its Independence Day, 50 years as Singaporeans. That's exciting, but at the same time it's also challenging because Singapore has one of the highest employment rate, which is a great thing, second only to Japan at 79.7%, one of the lowest unemployment rate at 2%, and one of the best record in industrial peace. That's definitely a good track record for Singapore, but at the same time, they shouldn't stay complacent and too comfortable in their own seat. Anything can happen in the future.
For sure. And then, Singapore, you mentioned about the SG50. Already the nation is preparing for that day and a lot of rehearsals are going on at the moment. But then we cannot ignore the economic, this downfall in Singapore. And certainly, like how Mr. Lim highlighted the need for continued changes to workplaces, and that has to meet the needs of the mature workers and employees with young children especially, and also elderly parents.
Yeah, and we all know the Singaporean populations are growing older as a whole. So these are areas that is unavoidable that I think in the next 10 years, Singapore definitely should change the way it sees its productive value or its population to suit with the current population that it has right now. On the other hand, we have car makers brace for more pain in Indonesia. Car sales tend to boom in Indonesia during the holy month of Ramadan, typically at a time of big spending among the large Muslim community. But unfortunately, this year, with slower economic growth, instead, we are seeing darkening in the mood. Car dealers are disappointed.
And this is very sad news in Indonesia, because over the past year, the combination of the sort of fading consumer confidence, and they also have a high interest rate and stubborn inflation that has hit our sales definitely, and that they have forced the leading car makers to deepen already the steep discount and even curtail the production as they grapple in the inventory piled ups. So that means a lot of car dealers are already shouting for help, and they can't take it, and they question where they are actually going to park these cars. And this is according to the Erwan Tagu, head of the equity research at CIMB Securities in Jakarta.
So statistically, car sales in Indonesia shrank 25.7% year-on-year in June, according to Gaikindo, the local industry association, falling for a 10th straight month. And Honda has launched a series of more affordable models since the start of last year, including the new Mobilio multi-purpose vehicle that has eaten into the market for Toyota's Avanza, favored by thrifty families and corporate buyers. But unfortunately, the slow buying or spending power of the Indonesians seems, I guess, even with very good quality cars or cars that is affordable, people might not want to buy new cars.
Yeah, not at this moment.
Another area that is worth discussing is about the EU-Vietnam deal. Both of the region or countries have agreed for free trade pact. The European Union and Vietnam clinched on last 2 days ago an agreement in principle on a new free trade deal that would see the lifting of the most tariff on goods.
Well, between the EU and the Vietnam, the pact would provide significant new opportunities for companies on both sides, and then this is by, well, increasing the market access for goods and services. And Vietnam, talking about the nation, has growing and also dynamic market of some about 90 million consumers, and also the UN officials expect the pact to spur the whole European investment in the Southeast Asia, and then the good trade between the two economic totaled about 28 billion euros. That was last year, and the EU is Vietnam's second trading partner after China.
And what we are seeing right now, definitely EU company probably would be going into drove to Vietnam if the free trade agreement were to be signed. Especially Vietnam is working towards its infrastructure building for roads, ports, and and also with the national rail operator. And with that, we will take another one short break. When we return, we'll discuss more on the social-cultural side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, welcome back. This is Grace.
So on our social culture news, we start off with sports. So apparently Manchester City friendly match with Vietnam incur big financial losses.
Exactly. Well, there was just a friendly match, but then Manchester City beat Vietnam 8-1 before almost 40,000 fans at the My Nang National Stadium. That was just last month. And Man City mentioned the strict conditions in the contract, especially a force majeure, which said the match would be cancelled if any other footballers were injured or sick.
Wow. And the fact that it's 8-1 was another wow. I was like, oh, this means that our football quality, ours means the Southeast Asia still need a lot of work to be done to somehow boost ourselves. And according to one of the footballer, that he is aware of the loss, but this is a good chance to train their footballers to build a professional football club that can earn revenue and support themselves. I totally agree with that. On the other hand, about climate change, inspiring ASEAN youth on climate change is definitely one of the key agenda for the ASEAN Power Shift, which will take place at United World College of Southeast Asia in Tampines. Tampines, is it?
Yes, Tampines. And also the movement views the climate change as ethical issues that involves equality, human rights, collective rights, and historical responsibility. That recognize the fact that those who are the least responsible for the climate change generally will bear the brunt of this impact. And then bringing this awareness when it comes to climate change is very important, especially ASEAN. And then and not only the bringing the awareness, but also educating people from Southeast Asia. Countries like Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, climate change awareness still very low. So it is very significant what are the effects and the consequences if we really don't take care of our environment.
That's definitely the case. So youth empowerment is so important, and it's really important that we have a collective vision to ensure that we have a responsibility towards Mother Earth. So I definitely salute the United World College for doing such great event to create awareness on climate change. But talking about social awareness, do you know which country has the most social nation? And I'm not talking about social awareness, by the way. I was wrong. I'm talking about social media.
Well, it looks like it also based on the social media activity of the internet users, which we are talking about the Philippines here. And it is quite exciting because they accounted for 86% of the Facebook page views. It's coming from the Philippines, and the highest percentage among 50 countries around the world.
According to a report attributed to the growing social media activity in the Philippines, that the popularity of smartphones, in fact, has created half of Filipino mobile web users, not just using the smartphone for surfing the internet, but also to do some social activity via social media.
That's correct. That means Southeast Asia or the ASEAN as a whole community really need to improve the internet penetration when it comes to speed of the internet, and also be able to access to basically whatever the social media channels we want to use.
So how did they beat Indonesia? Question mark. Anyway, that's all from us today. Thanks for listening to our radio show, and of course you can always listen to us via our podcast at our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us live not just on our website but also via your mobile phone by downloading our app Durian ASEAN.
At the same time, do visit our website, which is durianasean.com, and then also refer to our podcast, and we also have our articles there, so read the articles.